If you opened your eyes this morning and felt a strange heaviness holding you down, not exhaustion, not laziness, but something deeper and harder to name, then listen closely. Jung would tell you that you are not failing, you are not weak, you are not losing your will, you are hearing the oldest language of the soul. There are mornings when the body refuses to rise, when the mind feels wrapped in fog, when every familiar task feels distant and hollow. And if you are like most people, you blame yourself. You call it a lack of motivation. You call it discipline slipping. You call it laziness. But Jung believed something far more powerful is happening beneath the surface. He taught that when the soul withdraws its energy, it does not disappear. It speaks. It whispers through stillness. It sends a message that the conscious mind has ignored for too long. The weight you feel is not the collapse of your spirit, it is the beginning of its rearranging. You live in a world that worships constant motion, endless productivity, and emotional performance. A world that praises running even when you are breaking, and condemns silence as if it were sin. But the psyche does not obey culture, it obeys truth. And when your life moves against that truth, the soul will slow you down until you finally hear it. What you call not wanting to get up may be the first sign of inner transformation, the first signal that something within you is shedding, dissolving, preparing for renewal. It is the winter before your spring, the chrysalis before your wings, the pause before the return. In the next moments, you will walk into this stillness with Jung as your guide. You will learn why your soul sometimes pulls you away from the world, why your energy disappears without warning, and why lying still can be the most honest act your psyche ever performs. Because the truth is simple and radical. Your desire to lie down is not the end of your story, it is the beginning of your becoming. There are moments in life when the body speaks before the mind understands. You wake in the soft gray of morning and feel a heaviness pressing into your chest. Not pain, not fear, but a deep inward pull. Something within you whispers, "Stay, do not rise yet." The world calls it laziness. Jung called it a message. To Jung, the body was never separate from the soul. He believed that the unconscious speaks in the language of sensations, impulses, fatigue, and instinct. When you feel that strange resistance to movement, when every fiber of your being refuses to join the noise of the day, it is not a collapse of will. It is a quiet rebellion of your inner world against a life that no longer fits your truth. Jung observed that many people who felt this heaviness were not weak or unmotivated. They were living out of alignment with their deeper nature. Their outer life demanded constant performance, constant pleasing, constant striving. Their inner life demanded honesty. And when these two worlds drift too far apart, the psyche withdraws its energy from the false one. The body slows down long before the mind admits why.
Jung once described the soul as an ancient animal, wise in ways the conscious ego cannot comprehend. It feels the shifting of seasons long before you see them. It senses emotional storms long before they break. It knows when you are lying to yourself. It knows when a chapter of your life has ended, even if you insist on continuing it. And when the gap between your truth and your routine becomes too wide, the soul pulls the brakes. It refuses to power a life that is not honest. This resistance often shows up as the desire to lie down, to retreat, to be still. Jung believed that this stillness is not a sign of decay. It is the first stage of psychic incubation, a sacred pause where the unconscious reorganizes itself. On the surface, you feel unmoving. Inside, entire landscapes of your psyche are shifting. Old identities crumble, old dreams dissolve. New direction begins to stir, faint and unformed. Imagine your inner world as a vast forest. In autumn, it looks alive. In winter, it appears dead. But beneath the frozen soil, life works in silence. Roots strengthen, seeds harden, energy gathers for the return of spring. Jung believed the soul follows the same rhythm. When you feel the urge to lie down all day, when you cannot bring yourself to engage with the world, you may be entering the winter of your inner forest, a time when rest is not optional but sacred. The problem is that modern life has no patience for winter. It expects a permanent summer of productivity. It rewards constant motion and criticizes every pause. Yet, the psyche cannot bloom endlessly. It must retreat. It must digest. It must reorder itself in darkness. And this inner winter is often triggered when something in your life has come to an end, even if nothing external has changed yet. Many who experience this heaviness describe a strange sense of being between worlds. They wake with the feeling that the life they are living is somehow too small, too tight, like clothing that no longer fits. They sense that something must shift, but they do not yet know what it is. Jung believed this is the moment when the unconscious begins rewriting your inner map. The old path no longer leads where your soul intends to go. The body knows this first. It slows down so you cannot run back to the familiar. It anchors you so you cannot rush into distraction. It forces you to face what you have avoided. Stillness becomes the doorway. Fatigue becomes the teacher. And the desire to lie down becomes a compass pointing toward transformation. This is why Jung insisted that the body must be listened to, not feared. Its heaviness is not an enemy, it is a guide. It tells you that a deeper truth is rising, that the architecture of yourself is shifting, that you are entering a new chapter, even if your conscious mind has not yet seen the signs. The question now is not why you feel this heaviness. The question is what it is trying to reveal.
And that mystery opens the doorway to the 5 sacred forms of soul tiredness that Jung observed, each carrying its own message, each pointing toward a different kind of transformation. Jung believed that what we call tiredness often carries the shape of a message. Not all heaviness is the same. Each kind whispers a different truth. Each asks for a different response. He saw this not as weakness, but as a coded language of the inner world. And when you learn to read that language, fatigue becomes revelation. The first form is the tiredness of misalignment. This is the exhaustion that rises when your outer life no longer matches your inner values. You move through tasks that once felt meaningful but now feel hollow. Conversations feel scripted. Obligations feel heavy. Even successes feel strangely distant. Jung believed that the psyche withdraws energy from anything that is no longer genuine. When your soul senses that you are living a life designed for approval rather than truth, it silently refuses to cooperate. It pulls its energy back. The body slows to a halt. This is not failure. This is honesty. The second form is the tiredness of unmourned grief. Some heaviness belongs to the past, not the present. Losses that were never faced, endings that were never honored, versions of yourself that died quietly without ceremony. Jung saw that unprocessed grief absorbs psychic energy like a sponge. You feel tired because the soul is holding a vigil for something you never allowed yourself to bury. The heaviness is a request to stop and feel what was lost. Until you acknowledge the grief, your soul withholds vitality,
asking for remembrance before renewal. The third form is the tiredness of emotional overload. Some people are born with heightened sensitivity. They absorb the moods of others, the chaos of the world, the hidden tensions in every room. Jung saw these people as emotional barometers, picking up shifts in the collective atmosphere before anyone else notices. Their exhaustion is not weakness, but a cleansing response. The soul forces stillness so the emotional system can reset. Lying down becomes a purification ritual. Silence becomes medicine. The body insists on recalibration. The fourth form is the tiredness of transition. This is the exhaustion that appears when one identity dissolves and another has not yet emerged. You are no longer who you were, but not yet who you will become. Jung called this the liminal space, the sacred in-between. During this time, the psyche uses enormous energy to dismantle old structures and prepare new ones. The conscious mind feels only the fatigue, not the construction beneath it. You are like a creature in the dark chamber of metamorphosis, dissolving so you can reform. The fatigue is the cocoon.
The fifth form is the tiredness of blocked creativity. There is an energy within every person that longs to imagine, to build, to express, to shape something original. When this creative force is suppressed by routine, fear, or a life that demands practicality over authenticity, the energy does not disappear. It turns inward. It stagnates. It becomes heaviness. Jung believed that unused creativity becomes psychological weight. The soul whispers, "Stop wasting my fire." This tiredness is not emptiness. It is energy searching for a doorway. All five forms share one truth. The body becomes the messenger when the psyche has run out of ways to speak. The heaviness is not a flaw. It is a signal that something inside you demands attention. Something is ending. Something is beginning. Something wants to be heard. Jung understood that the modern world leaves no room for sacred tiredness. It teaches you to push through pain, to silence your intuition, to ignore the messages rising from within. But the psyche does not obey pressure, it obeys truth. And when truth is ignored, it speaks through fatigue. If you can recognize which form of tiredness is calling you, you take the first step toward healing. You begin to see that your body is not betraying you. It is guiding you back to alignment, back to grief that needs closure, back to equilibrium, back to rebirth, back to your own creative fire. Each form of tiredness is a doorway, and once you walk through it, you begin to understand why the soul stops you before the mind can catch up. Jung believed that the body is often wiser than the conscious mind. Long before we think something is wrong, the body feels it. Long before we admit that a path is ended, the body refuses to walk it. And long before we understand that an inner shift is unfolding, the body slows us down, anchoring us in place until we finally listen. This is why the desire to lie down can feel so confusing. The conscious mind insists that everything is fine. Your responsibilities are unchanged. Your life may appear steady, but somewhere within you, the deeper layers of your psyche have sensed a misalignment. Something no longer fits. Something is out of tune. And the body, loyal to truth, refuses to move in a direction that betrays the self. Jung often compared the psyche to a vast ecosystem, a living field where every part responds to every other part. When one area becomes imbalanced, the whole system adjusts. Fatigue is not a failure of will. It is a shift in the ecosystem. It is the body attempting to correct what the conscious ego refuses to acknowledge. Many people describe the same experience. They wake up feeling a strange heaviness even when they slept well. They lose interest in tasks that once felt effortless. They feel as if invisible hands are holding them still. Jung saw this not as a medical flaw, but as a psychological message. The psyche is withdrawing energy from the outer world so it can redirect it inward. When the soul senses that you are living in contradiction, it stops lending itself to the performance. It stops supporting a life built on expectations that no longer match your inner reality. What feels like losing energy is often energy being pulled home. The soul gathers its strength, preparing to reshape your direction from within.
There are moments when the body simply refuses to follow the commands of the mind. You tell yourself, get up, but your limbs remain heavy. You tell yourself, push through, but no force comes. You tell yourself, keep going, yet an inner silence pulls you back. Jung believed this is the moment when the unconscious rises to the surface. It speaks through inertia. It speaks through slowness. It speaks through the deep instinct to stop. Modern culture has taught us to distrust this instinct. It praises constant motion and dismisses stillness as weakness. It worships speed while forgetting that all of nature moves in cycles. The forest rests, the tide withdraws, the seasons shift, even the heart beats in waves of contraction and release. Nothing in nature is constant motion. Only humans punish themselves for needing pause. Jung argued that the psyche cannot be forced into endless activity. When pushed too far, it protects itself the only way it can. It slows the body. It numbs motivation. It demands silence so the inner world can reorganize. This is not regression. It is restoration. It is the ancient intelligence of the soul steering you toward truth. Sometimes the body stops moving because an emotional truth has ripened within you. A realization you have avoided is ready to surface. A choice you have delayed is ready to be made. A life you have outgrown is ready to fall away. The body feels this shift long before you do. It pulls you inward so you cannot distract yourself with noise or motion. Other times the body senses danger where the mind sees routine. It recognizes the cost of staying in environments that drain your spirit. It knows when you are holding too much, absorbing too much, pretending too much. The body is honest even when the ego is not. And when honesty becomes urgent, it will not let you rise until you face what you have ignored. This is why lying down often feels strangely safe. It is not escape, it is surrender to truth. It is the psyche drawing you back into yourself so it can restructure the foundations of your life. The body becomes the guardian of the soul. It stops you so you can return to alignment. Jung taught that the first step toward healing is to trust this inner wisdom. When the body slows, listen. When the mind resists stillness, pause. When your energy disappears without reason, look inward. Something is trying to awaken. Something is trying to shift. Something is trying to be born. Stillness is not the end of movement. It is the beginning of understanding. Jung believed that stillness is not the absence of life. It is the workshop of the unconscious. When the world sees you lying motionless, Jung sees you entering a sacred chamber where the soul quietly reshapes itself. What appears as nothing on the surface is often the most profound activity happening within you. He called this psychic incubation, a period when the unconscious works beneath awareness, digesting experience, gathering fragments of forgotten truths and weaving them into a new pattern. During this time, the conscious mind may feel blank, empty, or detached. But the deeper self is alive, rearranging the inner architecture of who you are becoming.
Think of a forest in winter. The trees appear still, the branches seem lifeless, the soil looks frozen. Yet beneath that silence, roots are drinking in the dark. Seeds are preparing to break open.
Life is not gone, it is reorganizing. Jung believed that the human psyche moves through the same seasonal rhythm. When you feel the pull towards stillness, the soul is entering its winter of renewal. The modern world fears this winter. It interprets stillness as failure. It treats rest as a threat. It demands constant growth even when the soil of your spirit has been exhausted. But the psyche does not grow on command. It grows through cycles, movement, then pause, expansion, then contraction, illumination, then darkness. Silence is the interval that makes transformation possible. When you lie still, your soul gathers the pieces of you that have been scattered by stress, by expectation, by years of emotional strain. It brings them home. It begins to mend what has been torn. It begins to strengthen what has grown thin. It begins to prepare you for a version of life that requires more authenticity than before. In this stillness, the unconscious sorts through the stories you have been telling yourself. It discards the ones that no longer serve you. It highlights the ones that hold truth. It creates new pathways for future insight. You may feel numb or foggy because the conscious mind has stepped aside, making room for deeper processes to unfold. This is why Jung insisted that stillness is not wasted time. It is sacred work. The psyche is doing what the ego cannot do. It is metabolizing your experiences, transforming what was painful into wisdom, turning confusion into clarity, dissolving illusions that have kept you trapped. What feels like lying down is actually a return to the ground where your soul grows roots again. There are many who fear this silence because it confronts them with truths they have avoided. When the world goes quiet, you can hear the hidden parts of yourself speaking. You feel the weight of what has been ignored. You sense the dreams you abandoned. You notice the relationships that drained your spirit. Stillness strips away distraction and reveals what the soul has known for a long time. Jung believed that this confrontation is not meant to break you. It is meant to prepare you. Before any great transformation, the psyche enters darkness. Before insight emerges, the mind becomes silent. Before rebirth, the soul withdraws. This is the pattern woven into nature, into myth, into every deep psychological process. Heroes disappear into caves. Prophets retreat into deserts. Jung withdrew to his tower by the lake when his own transformation began. The body mirrors these ancient rituals. When it asks you to lie still, it is guiding you into your own inner cave. It is inviting you into the darkness where the old self dissolves and the new one forms. You are not lazy. You are becoming. You are not falling behind. You are falling inward. And in that inward fall, something extraordinary happens. A space opens where truth can rise without competition. A silence appears where clarity can land. A softness grows where harshness once lived. This is the cradle of renewal, the place where the future self begins to breathe.
When stillness calls you, the task is not to resist it. The task is to enter it with reverence, because within that quiet lies the blueprint of who you are meant to become. In the moments when the world grows silent and your body refuses to rise, Jung believed that a deeper conversation begins. It is a conversation without words, without sentences, without logic. It is the soul speaking through symbols, sensations, and fragments of emotion. Jung called this the inner dialogue, the meeting place between the conscious self and the vast landscape of the unconscious. Most people never enter this space because they fear what silence might reveal. They rush into distraction. They drown themselves in noise. They take pride in constant movement because movement protects them from the truth. But when the body grows heavy and the will grows soft, you are given an opening, an invitation to listen. The psyche does not speak in the clean language of thought. It speaks in images that rise without explanation, memories that surface from nowhere, impulses that feel ancient, dreams that linger even after waking. Jung believed these fragments were the alphabet of the soul. To understand them, you do not analyze, you allow, you receive, you follow. He taught that whenever heaviness descends, you can begin a sacred practice. Sit in the quiet. Take a pen. Let your hand move without thinking. Write the images that appear, the feelings that drift in, the strange scenes your mind displays like distant lanterns flashing in the dark. Do not judge, do not shape. Let the unconscious reveal its map naturally. This is the essence of active imagination. It is not fantasy, it is dialogue. A meeting between what you pretend to be and what you truly are. In this space, the soul offers clues. An image of a locked door may appear. A river may flow through your mind. A child may stand alone at the edge of a field. These scenes are not random. They are messages encoded in the language of the deeper mind. Jung taught that in moments of heavy stillness, you can ask yourself 3 sacred questions. The first, what am I protecting myself from? The second, what in my life no longer serves my growth? The third, which version of me is asking to be born? These questions are keys. You do not force answers, you let the unconscious respond in its own voice. Sometimes the answer comes as warmth in the chest, sometimes as a whisper of sadness, sometimes as a memory you had forgotten, now glowing with new meaning. Sometimes the body trembles lightly, as if releasing a truth you held for too long. The soul does not speak loudly, it speaks honestly. In this inner space, the tiredness you feel becomes more than fatigue. It becomes guidance. It tells you that a chapter is closing. It tells you that an old identity is dissolving. It tells you that you have outgrown the life you built when you were smaller, when you wanted less, when you feared more. The heaviness is the soul drawing lines in the sand, saying no more to what has been draining you.
Jung believed that this dialogue is the turning point of transformation. When you stop fighting the stillness and begin listening to it, something shifts. The heaviness softens, the fog begins to thin. You feel the faint presence of a truer self emerging beneath the layers of old expectations. You begin to remember what you wanted before the world told you what you should want. This is why the inner dialogue is essential. Without it, stillness becomes confusion. With it, stillness becomes revelation. The unconscious is not trying to suppress you. It is trying to reorganize you. It is trying to guide you toward the life that aligns with your truth rather than your fear. In this quiet dialogue, you discover that the soul does not punish, it protects. It does not weaken, it prepares. It does not silence you, it speaks through you. And it speaks most clearly when the body is still, when the noise fades, when the world stops pulling you away from yourself. This is the moment when transformation begins to take shape. Not outside you, but within you. A soft shift, a subtle awakening, a new direction forming like the first light of a hidden dawn. Modern life worships motion. It praises the one who never stops, never slows, never questions the cost of constant movement. But Jung saw a truth that modern culture refuses to accept. Sometimes the most powerful act a human being can take is to do nothing, to stop, to lie still, to let the world spin without you while your soul gathers its strength. This doing nothing is not apathy, it is not surrender, it is not failure. Jung believed it is a sacred paradox, a hidden law of the psyche. When the outer self becomes quiet, the inner self begins its work. When the will no longer pushes, the soul takes over. When you stop forcing your life forward, you finally allow the deeper rhythm of your being to rise. Think of the chrysalis, still and unmoving to the eye. On the outside, it appears lifeless,
but inside, a creature is dissolving, reshaping, becoming something new. Jung taught that humans undergo similar inner metamorphosis. The ego calls it stagnation. The soul calls it transformation. The tiredness you feel is not wasted time. It is alchemy. It is the slow dissolving of an old identity that can no longer serve you. It is the quiet construction of a new structure within your psyche, one that requires stillness to take form. Just as the forest retreats in winter to prepare for spring, the soul retreats to rebuild its strength. People fear rest because they misunderstand it. They fear that stopping means falling behind. They fear the world will move on without them. They fear that doing nothing reveals their weakness. But Jung believed the opposite. He believed that stillness is the sign of inner strength, the ability to honor the truth of your psyche even when the world demands performance. When you rest consciously, you are choosing alignment over expectation. You are choosing honesty over pretense. You are choosing depth over speed. And in this choice, something powerful happens. The unconscious begins reorganizing the fragments of your life, integrating the lessons you ignored, healing the wounds you carried, cleansing the emotional residue of weeks or years.
In ancient traditions, the greatest transformations always occurred in silence. Leaders retreated into deserts, mystics withdrew into caves, poets disappeared into solitude. Jung himself retreated to his stone tower by the water whenever his soul needed to reorganize. These retreats were not escapes, they were initiations. Stillness was the gateway to clarity. When you lie down in the middle of your day, when you feel unable to rise, your ego may panic, but your soul breathes. It sees the pause as necessary. It uses the stillness as a furnace for change. Your body is telling you that something inside needs space, needs quiet, needs time. The psyche does not transform in the noise of constant activity. It transforms in the softness of surrender. And here lies the paradox. The less you push, the more you grow. The more you rest, the deeper you evolve. The more you honor the stillness, the more powerful your next movement becomes. This is nature's law. This is the psyche's law. This is the soul's law. There will come a moment when the stillness no longer feels heavy, a moment when a tiny spark of energy returns, a moment when your chest feels lighter, when your breath deepens, when your inner world whispers, "It is time." This moment does not arrive through force. It arrives through allowing. It rises naturally, like dawn breaking over a quiet field. Rest is not the opposite of growth. It is the soil where growth takes root. It is the shadow that gives shape to the light. It is the silence that prepares the song. When you honor the call to lie down, you are not choosing weakness. You are choosing wisdom. You are stepping into the rhythm of the soul, the only rhythm that can lead you toward a life that is true. There comes a moment, after long stillness, when something inside you stirs. It is quiet at first, almost fragile, like the faintest breeze moving through unopened leaves. You may wake one morning and feel a subtle shift in your chest. Not a burst of energy, not a sudden motivation, but a small warmth, a gentle pulse of aliveness returning from someplace deep within. Jung believed this moment is the soul, announcing that the period of inner incubation has completed its work. The unconscious does not hurry. It does not rise on command. It does not care for deadlines or schedules. It moves according to its own seasons. And when a season has ended, the psyche reveals it the same way nature reveals spring, softly, gradually, with a quiet promise of renewal. After days or weeks of heaviness, this soft awakening may feel strange. You are used to the weight. You are used to the fog. You are used to the silence. But the soul is not meant to remain underground forever. Jung wrote that when the psyche reorganizes itself, it returns energy gently, not in a flood, but in a slow unfolding. You may notice yourself dreaming more vividly. You may find your thoughts growing clearer. You may feel a spark of curiosity, the first sign that your inner world is opening again. These are not random shifts. They are the signals that the unconscious has finished reshaping the foundations of your life. Energy that once felt trapped now begins to flow. Not because you forced it, but because you surrendered long enough for the soul to heal what you could not reach. The stillness you once feared becomes the ground from which new strength rises. You do not push yourself forward. You are carried forward by an inner current that feels natural, effortless, honest.
This is why Jung insisted that true renewal does not come from punishment or pressure. It comes from listening. It comes from pausing. It comes from trusting the deeper intelligence within you. When you honor the call to rest, you create the space necessary for your next self to form. And when your next self is ready, it approaches you like dawn, without force, without urgency, without noise. Many people miss this delicate awakening because they rush back into their old patterns the moment they feel a trace of energy. They return to the very life that exhausted them. They pick up the weight that broke them. They silence the truth that stillness revealed. Jung warned that this return to old rhythms is what causes the cycle of burnout and collapse. The task now is not to run. It is to rise slowly, to move with awareness, to let your energy expand gently instead of exploding outward. Your psyche is still tender from its transformation. It needs soft movements, intentional choices, honest structures. It needs a life that matches the truth it rebuilt in silence. You may notice that certain things no longer interest you. Certain relationships feel heavier than before. Certain responsibilities feel misaligned. This is not regression. It is clarity. The soul has shed layers you can no longer pick up again. Jung believed that transformation is not complete when energy returns. Transformation is complete when you choose to honor the self that emerged from stillness. The person who rises from inner winter is not the same person who entered it. You move differently. You feel differently. You sense your own boundaries more clearly. You listen to the quiet warnings of your psyche instead of ignoring them. You follow the subtle pull of what feels aligned rather than what feels expected. And so, the final truth of this tiredness becomes clear. You were not breaking down. You were breaking open. You were not losing energy. You were redirecting it. You were not falling behind. You were being prepared. The urge to lie down all day was not the end of your story. It was the soul guiding you into the dark chamber where transformation happens. And now that you are emerging, the world looks different because you are different. You carry a new rhythm, a deeper groundedness, a more honest presence. Energy returns not as the old drive, but as something wiser, something calmer, something truer. It rises naturally, like dawn through a forest, quiet yet undeniable. If you reach this point, there is something within you that already knows the truth. You were never broken for needing rest. You were never weak for slowing down. You were never lazy for wanting to lie still while the world kept moving. Your soul was speaking to you in the only language it had left,
the language of heaviness, the language of silence, the language of stillness. Jung believed that the moments when you feel least able to rise are often the moments when the deepest part of you is rising in a different way. You are not collapsing. You are recalibrating. You are not losing your way. You are being guided toward a path that your old self could not walk. The tiredness was not the end. It was the threshold. So the next time your body begs you to stop, do not curse yourself. Do not drown the message in guilt. Instead, place a hand on your heart and remember this: the soul speaks softly, and stillness is its first word. Listen without fear, rest without shame, allow without resistance. There is a new version of you taking shape, and it needs room to breathe. If any part of this message found you, tell me in the comments which form of soul tiredness you recognized in yourself. Your story may help someone who feels alone discover that their exhaustion is not a flaw, but a beginning. And if you want to keep exploring Jung's wisdom and the inner world most people never see, subscribe for more journeys into the soul. You are not meant to live at war with your own body. You are meant to live in conversation with your inner truth. Rest when your soul calls you. Rise when it releases you, and trust that both are sacred. Your new beginning is already unfolding in the quiet.